Witchcraft Unaware by Rosemary Timperley. Read by Joshua Phillips. Front door slammed. Joan heard her parents' footsteps retreating down the path, then the car starting up. They were having an evening out at the local cinema while she had to stay behind and do her homework. With a sigh, she spread out her books over the living room table and began to study. It was English and physics tonight. She liked English, so she did that first, an essay on the three witches in Macbeth. She picked out the most gruesome quotations she could find, and the rest flowed easily from her pen. She read it through, checked a few spellings, though it wasn't too bad, although it was a pretty macabre, then replaced the English books in her case. Now for physics. Oh, she drew the detestable physics book towards her. She had to read and absorb one chapter, ready for her test in the morning. Now, concentrate, she told herself. And the light went out. It was startling to suddenly be plunged into darkness, especially when those three witches were still half with her. But after the merest second she noticed the glow of the electric fire, and realised that this was not the end of the world, nor even a power cut, but a failed electric bulb. What to do? Find a new bulb and clamber about, fixing it? No, Dad would do that far more efficiently than she could. Go up to work in her bedroom? No, it'd be freezing cold up there, whereas the living room was nice and warm. So Joan decided to settle for a candle. There'd been a real power cut earlier in the year, so she knew there was a candle at the ready on the shelf in the kitchen. She collected this as it stood, smooth and primly white in its candlestick, lit it and sat down to work again. She felt there was something vaguely romantic about working by candlelight, or there would have been, if it wasn't rotten old physics that she had to study. Oh, hell's teeth! Grimly she read the first paragraph in the chapter and studied the diagram. Neither meant much to her. Having once lagged behind in this subject, she'd never caught up, and the whole thing was as near double Dutch as makes no matter. And why should she lag behind? Partly because she wasn't very bright when it came to practical subjects like maths and physics. And partly, maybe mostly, because she detested Miss Elliot, the physics teacher. Now, as the candlelight flickered over the page of the baffling print, her mind drifted from the subject to the teacher. Miss Elliot was a real bitch, and ugly with it. Joan thought that ugly people should cultivate beautiful natures to make up for being unpleasing to behold. But did Miss Elliot do that? On the contrary, her behaviour was as nasty as her appearance. She was a big fat woman with straight mud-coloured hair in a very short bob, which revealed a pair of repulsive earlobes. She had little piggy eyes and a mean little mouth, no more than a dent between the pale cheeks, and a high sarcastic voice with a lisp in it. Miss Elliot pronounced magnetism, magnetism, and electricity, electricity. Joan remembered a lesson of some time ago, when the topic had been the anode and the cathode. The teacher had asked her a question about the cathode, and Joan, presuming that the other was lisping, had begun to answer, "Well, the cathode is—" "Not cathode, Joan, cathode!" Miss Elliot had snapped. "Why you pronounce it cathode when I said cathode perfectly clearly? I cannot say. You're just stupid. What's the matter with you? Just stupid." This was only a minor incident, one of many such small skirmishes, but there had been a more gruesome one. Joan still shuddered to recall it. They'd been doing an experiment which involved a tray of ice. Miss Elliot ordered Joan to hold a piece of ice steady, while she, the teacher, tried to break it with a metal skewer. Joan's fingers grew numb as she clung onto the chunk of ice, and Miss Elliot jabbed away. She felt nothing, but suddenly the water from the melting ice began to turn pink. Miss Elliot gave a shrill laugh, in which surely there was a note of triumph. "Good heavens!" she said. "I've put the skewer through your finger. It's bleeding." Joan pulled her hand away from the ice tray in a sort of panic, and sucked her freezing, bleeding finger. The injury was minor, but the teacher's relish over the incident, if it had been an accident, had both shocked and angered her. Now, sitting there in the quiet house, remembering, she realised she hated Miss Elliot more than she had ever hated anyone before. She was so helpless against the other's power and vindictiveness. So damned helpless. Thinking thus, her gaze fell on the candle, which was slowly burning down. Melted wax was making strange sculptures on its sides, and one of those waxen sculptures was a tiny, tiny replica of Miss Elliot's loathsome face. Really, this was too much. The woman was haunting her. She was never to know entirely what made her perform her next actions. Perhaps the essay she had written had something to do with it, for the madness, murder, and necromancy of Macbeth is more powerful than any of the so-called horror dished out on television. Or perhaps there was very little connection with that, for what happened was that she seemed to be no longer herself, an ordinary schoolgirl, but a channel for some outside force which came through her. Perhaps she had opened herself up unwittingly to this force, while she was brooding with bitterness, and slowly, like someone in a half-trance, she removed the brooch from the neckline of her jumper, and with its pin she stabbed out the eyes of the little waxen replica of Miss Elliot's face. Then she cleaned the wax off the pin and replaced the brooch. At the same moment her strange serenity deserted her, and she returned to normal consciousness. She felt terribly afraid, turned cold as ice and began to tremble all over. She got up from the table and crouched down by the electric fire, holding her shaking hands close to the warmth. But the heat seemed to burn rather than warm her. And now, for some mysterious reason, she was afraid even to move. She felt exhausted too, drained of energy. She listened to the silence of the house, the sinister little cracklings and rustlings, unnoticed before, as silence has its own variety of noises for those stricken by fear. Wide-eyed, she looked at the shadow cast on the walls by the flickering candle flame. For a second, she saw Miss Elliot's shadow profile, magnified, life-size, and she almost screamed. And then the most welcome sound in the world, the car pulling up outside her parents, voices, the key in the front door. They broke the spell. She sprang to her feet and sat at the table before her physics textbook. She looked up, oh, so casually, as the door burst open, and Dad said, "Hello, Joni. All in the dark?" "Yes, the bulb's gone. I've been using a candle." I've been using a candle. But what have I been using the candle for? What have I done? "You've been using a candle and waiting for the slave to return to do all the chores," her father said cheerfully. "I'm just a dog's body in this house for helpless women, that's all I am." But in 2 ticks, he found a new bulb, climbed on the table, fixed the light, and was all bright and normal again. Joan blew out the candle. As she replaced it on the kitchen shelf, she smeared out Miss Elliot's tiny waxen face with her finger, so that it might have been a dream. She thought, "I've had some sort of dreadful dream, awake." None of it was real. Meanwhile, her father was looking to see what was on the telly, and her mother was at the stove preparing a fry-up for the 3 of them. "Film any good?" Joan asked, putting her physics textbook back in her case. "Sexy," answered her mother. "It was about the adventures of a window cleaner. I didn't know where to look half the time, but your dad didn't have any trouble." "Much was revealed," said Dad smugly, and they all laughed at the silly conversation, while in fact Joan was on the edge of tears of relief. This room was like a different territory from the one it had been only 10 minutes ago. Everything was normal and sane again. Determinedly, she closed her mind against the deep and the dark. When she went to bed that night, however, she did wonder whether she'd have bad dreams, and she deliberately lay awake for a while, afraid to drift off into that country where the unconscious is king. But she did sleep at last, and if she dreamed, she did not remember any dream content in the morning when she woke. In fact, she felt fresh and ready to learn that chapter in the physics book. She felt that if she tried to do well in the test, it might make up for what? Thoughts. Evil thoughts, evil deeds. But I did nothing really, she told herself. It was all nonsense, play acting, that's all it was. Her first task when she arrived at school that morning was to collect the English essays from her class and take them to the staff room. Then she rejoined the class and went to assembly. They dragged through the morning hymn, a few announcements were made, and then it was time to file into the laboratory for physics. The first lesson, double period. As they took their usual places on stools at the benches, most of the pupils were frantically reading their textbooks, having a last-minute cram before the test. So there wasn't much noise in the room, although the teacher had not yet arrived. 10 minutes later, they'd relaxed and the cramming had stopped, for it was pretty obvious that Miss Elliot wasn't coming. She hadn't been at assembly, but that didn't necessarily mean anything, as teachers often cut assembly if they had something better to do, such as reading a novel or smoking an extra fag. But Miss Elliot was never late for class. The teacher came in a pile of exercise books in her arms. "What a noise!" she said. "Quieten down, please. Miss Elliot is off sick, so you're to read the next chapter in your textbooks and be silent as the grave while I mark your essays." Little mock groans came from the class, for to sit and watch a teacher marking one's own work is not much fun. But the atmosphere was pleasant enough. Pleasant enough, that is, for most of the class. Not for Joan. She sat still as a little statue, pretending to read, while that feeling of fear and dread afflicted her again. She went hot, then cold. She realised that her lips were tremulous. Then she jumped nervously when the English teacher said suddenly, "Nice essay, Joan!" The other was smiling at her, and added, "Although nice is hardly the word when you're quite hooked on this witchcraft business, aren't you?" "No!" The violence in the girl's voice was startling. Everyone turned to look at her, and the teacher, puzzled, said, "It's all right, child. I'm not accusing you of anything. It's just that you have a distinct talent for writing on a macabre subject. A man may write of murder. It doesn't mean he's going to go out and commit one." "Sorry," Joan mumbled. "You're very pale. Don't you feel well?" "Where's Miss Elliot?" Joan could hardly get the words out. "At home, presumably." What's the matter with her?" "I don't know, Joan. The headmaster simply sent me a message to sit with this class as she's off sick. But I'm sure she's gratified by your concern." Then the bell rang for morning break, but it was no louder in Joan's head than a silent voice which kept repeating, "What have you done?" It was towards the end of morning break that news filtered through the school grapevine as to the nature of Miss Elliot's sickness. During the night, and for no apparent reason whatsoever, the physics teacher had gone completely blind.
Witchcraft Unaware by Rosemary Timperley. Read by Joshua Phillips. The story was engineered and produced by Ashley Bond and Joshua Phillips. in the Bedroom by Margaret Biggs. Read by Joshua Phillips.
No, I don't want to. I'm sick of going to watch Bruce skate. It bores me to tears, said Caroline, taking a handful of biscuits out of the tin and replacing the lid with a bang. Her mother, pouring out coffee into 2 brown mugs, looked at her with a disappointed frown. What's the matter with you these days, Caro? Why are you always so crabby? She sounded genuinely puzzled, as if she really didn't know. That was a laugh. Nothing's the matter with me, Caro said emphatically. I don't know what you mean. Here's your coffee. Listen, let's talk this out. Her mother sat down at the big kitchen table. It was my idea to suggest you'd like to see Prue skate at the weekend. It would give you a break from studying, and you know it's a big event. There'll be some famous skaters there to watch as well. And even your father's going, and I thought we could all have a meal out. Huh, snorted Caro. Dad and you wouldn't when it was my birthday, when I wanted to go to that film. Oh, Caro, we've been over and over that. Your father has just got back from Italy and he was exhausted, and anyhow that film wasn't suitable. We'll take you in the holidays somewhere. Her mother looked anxiously at her. Don't you want to support your sister when she's doing so well? Caro got up. No, I don't. You support her. It's all you ever think about. Caro, that's not true. Her mother's face reddened, a sure sign she was losing her temper. You're just being completely unreasonable. Honestly, whatever I say to you lately, you jump on. So do you. All you want me to do is work, 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 and these rotten, boring That's because I know how important they are. The grades you get will decide what subject you'll do at O-level. You know that, and you know Mrs. Anderson said you'll be slacked off a bit lately. She thinks she knows everything. She's quite wrong, Caro interrupted. I wish you'd stop going on about grades and leave me in peace. Well, I shan't, said her mother sharply. Your father and I are worried because your work's fallen off, and we're not going to let you waste your opportunities. Just forget all about me. Go and watch Prue skate. That's the only thing that's important to you, Caro snapped. Even to herself it sounded childish. Things kept coming out of her mouth that she didn't mean, but couldn't stop. Why couldn't her mother understand how she felt? Give her some sympathy instead of going on all the time. They used to get on so well, but now it was always Prue, Prue, Prue. Lucky Prue. 3 years older, constantly winning gleaming silver cups and medals. Prue was always so cheerful, so confident. Everything I'm not, Caro often thought gloomily. Oh, Caro, of course we can't forget you. What rubbish, her mother began, but Caro couldn't take any more. She banged down her mug. I'm going up to my room, she cut in loudly. To work on your maths, her mother said hopefully. Maybe. Maybe not. Or I might just listen to Pops. It depends on what I feel like. Just you wait a minute. Caro! But Caro bounced off the kitchen, slamming the door behind her with immense, satisfying force. She ran up to the top, speeded up the wide steps. Luckily, her room was up 2 flights of the roomy Victorian house, and she knew her mother wouldn't follow her because she was about to organise the evening meal, and her father was always highly critical if he didn't get something really good. He had a high-powered job, often dashing off abroad, and when he was home he demanded high standards all round from his family. Her mother tended to worry if the house didn't look just so, or a meal was late, because she knew fully well what his reaction would be. Rod, the eldest of the family, now at Oxford, said you had to stand up to Dad, shout back, and then he respected you and stopped shouting. It seemed to work in his case, but Caro quite saw why he got agitated. Dad could be formidable, no doubt about that. She felt a bit better once she had shut herself into her room. It was at the top of the house, and the wide windows looked over the tops of the trees, now bending and shivering in the bitter November wind. She always felt safe on her own territory up here. Nobody ever came up, and she could leave her books and clothes lying around, and her duvet humped on the floor as much as she liked. Once in a blue moon she tidied up. She liked things messy, and what was so wrong with that? She felt a bit guilty, though, as she selected a pop record at random and watched it spin round and round. She disliked being on bad terms with her mother, and all these constant arguments got her down. But it was her mother's fault, she assured herself. Caro felt across the bed, biting her nails. Life wasn't fair. She wished she was 16, like Prue, not dreary old 13. She wished she was popular and sought after. And most of all, she wished she was as clever as something as Prue was at skating, so that the family admired her for a change. She used to be proud of Prue, even tell people at school about her. Not lately. She'd had enough. She never mentioned her. Not that it was Prue's fault exactly. She wasn't too bad, but it just wasn't fair. Caro always came back to that conclusion, like a brick wall. It was cold up there. She reached out one hand and turned on the radiator, but no comforting warmth filled the room. Instead, strangely, it seemed to be getting colder and colder, in a strange, forbidding way as it grew darker. Caro got up off the bed to switch on the lamp and stopped. She stared. A girl of about her own age, wearing school uniform, was standing by the windows, quite still, looking at her. It was impossible. The room was empty a moment ago, yet there she was, an unhappy look on her thin face. "How on earth did you get here? Who are you?" said Caro, and her voice came out uncertain. She felt shivers up and down her back. The girl kept looking at her. She said at last, in a voice that Caro could hardly hear. "What are you doing?" Caro wanted to go over to her, examine her closely, but something held her perfectly still. "It's my room," she said in astonishment. What do you mean?" There was another long pause, and the girl said, "I don't know what to do. I feel so miserable. Everything's gone wrong." Caro was still scared and uneasy, but she couldn't help responding to this. "What's the matter?" she said. The girl was gazing at her in a dreamy way, as if she only half saw her. She was thin, gawky, outgrowing her navy skirt and blue blouse. Her face was in deep shadow and indistinct. Her shoulders were huddled in dejection. "I wish I was better at school. I'm nearly blotted this time," she said slowly. "And Mum keeps telling me not to waste my time, to make an effort. But I am all the time." "I know just what you mean. My mum's exactly the same," Caro said, surprised and sympathetic. "She doesn't care a scrap for what I feel." The girl nodded. In the dimming light, she was silhouetted against the window, absolutely motionless. "I work and work. I sit up late when Mum thinks I'm asleep. But I still don't get good marks. Not like Joe does." "Who's Joe?" Caro asked, quite forgetting her own troubles. "She's my sister. She's just won a scholarship. That makes it worse for me. She whizzes through things without even trying." "That sounds like my sister. She's brilliant at skating, and my parent thinks he's wonderful." "Huh," Caro said indignantly. She felt more sorry for this mysterious girl than for herself, though she sounded forlorn. "I bet you're as good as your precious sister in lots of things," she said. It was funny how cold it was now. Her hands felt freezing. The central heating must have gone wrong, and everything was so still. Even the trees outside the glass. It was like being pushed out of time. The girl said, "You're nice, but I don't know how you got into my bedroom." "I tell you, this is my room," Caro repeated. "It's been my room ever since I can remember. Look, those are some of my paintings on the wall." She turned to gesture at them. Then back, she blinked. The girl was gone. She was alone in the dark room, and from downstairs Caro could hear Prue's voice calling. Caro gulped. Suddenly the room had grown warm again, and she could move and switch on the lamp. Everything was back to normal. Caro shook her head, went over to the wash basin and splashed her face. She must have fallen asleep. She hadn't had a stupid, senseless dream. Yet it wasn't a thing she'd ever done before. She felt strange, shaken. Prue banged on the door and shouted, "You in there?" Caro went and opened it, for once pleased to see her sister. "Of course I am. What you want?" Prue grinned. "Your usual charming self. Come on, the meal's ready and Dad's hungry. I called you, but you didn't answer." "Sorry," Caro mumbled, still trying to work things out. The girl was still vivid in her mind. "Be nice to Mum," Prue said as they went downstairs. "She seemed a bit upset when I came in." "Did she say it was my fault?" Caro demanded truculently. "Of course not. You know she never would. But she said she'd got a headache, so make an effort to be a bit less grumpy, okay?" Caro didn't answer, but she reflected perhaps she might as well, for her own sake as well as her mother's. The evening meal, with all of them seated round the big kitchen table, was unusually friendly and peaceful. Mr. Avery had a successful day, and praised the delicious chicken casserole his wife dished up. Mrs. Avery was pleased, and doubly so when Prue said Caro could wash up. Nobody said a word about either schoolwork or skating. Caro hardly opened her mouth, but her mother could see she wasn't sulking, and Prue made them all laugh by describing how one of the staff had lost his false teeth in the stew at lunch, and the immense fuss this had caused. "Mum," Caro said, as she and Prue began to stack the plates, "we've lived here for ages, haven't we?" Her mother looked surprised. "Of course, you know we're all born here." "What are you on about?" Prue asked, turning on the taps. "You know that? Lost your memory or something?" "Oh, nothing." Of course it had been. It was just a silly dream, a jumble. It was her room, nobody else's, whatever the girl said. She put the incident firmly out of her mind. She even went and did a bit of maths revision, and thought no more about it. The next morning was unfortunate. Everyone overslept. At breakfast, Mr. Avery gulped his coffee down his face like a thundercloud and said twice that he failed to understand how his wife could have forgotten a simple thing like setting a switch. Mrs. Avery grilled bacon at top speed, saying merely that it was because she had a headache. No need to go on about it. Prue charged around looking for a lost textbook, rushing up and down the stairs and yelling she'd got to find it, and she was going to miss the bus. Caro, still half asleep, felt like going back to bed to get away from all the commotion. "I'll give you a lift. I'm going that way," Mr. Avery called to Prue. "No, I can't eat that now," he said, impatiently, as his wife put a hot plate in front of him. Then his eye lighted on Caro, crunching cereal slowly and deliberately. "Caro, I expect you to come with us tomorrow to the rink. Understand?" "I've got too much work to do," Caro said crossly, not daring to be as frank with her father. "Found it!" Prue cried, dashing in and pushing books into her bag. "That's rubbish. Do some extra tonight and on Sunday." "It's settled then," Mr. Avery said decisively. Caro glared furiously at him, but he took no notice. "Come on then, Prue. I'm going now." The door slammed. They were gone. Caro's mother let out a sigh, and at last they had a chance to sit down. "What a madhouse," she said. "Would you like this bacon and tomato, Caro?" "No, I wouldn't." Caro hanged down her spoon. "Dad's a real dictator." "Now, Caro, he is. You know he is."
Mrs. Avery drank some coffee. "He's under a lot of pressure. You must make allowances," she said.
Why must I? So am I, and nobody ever does for me. Oh, Caro, please don't let's have another argument. I can't take it. I don't start them, Caro said with dignity. It's always other people. Well, nearly always, she amended to herself. Just be sensible, her mother said. You seem to think we're all against you, but you know really we aren't. It's just that we're older and we've had more experience. She hesitated and abandoned the sentence. Then, unwisely, she added, Your father and I were talking about you last night, and how vital it is for you to pass those exams, and... Caro jumped up. You mean you were criticising me? That's your favourite occupation. You're all so brilliant in this family, I just don't fit in, do I? I wish I could go right away for good. A minute later she was speeding down the road to school, feeling hot and miserable, angry with herself and everybody else. First her parents wanted her to keep working. Then they insist on her going to this stupid skating of Prue's. Caro wished she could disappear, vanish off the face of the earth. Then perhaps, faint hope, her family would appreciate her and see how unfairly they treated her. She brooded on her grievances at school, with the result that she got told off 3 times. The maths teacher told her to snap out of it and think what she was doing. The English teacher told her not to scowl all the time and ignore what was said to her. And in geography, her favourite subject, the teacher told her that if she didn't learn to accept criticism a bit better, she'd never get anywhere, and it would be entirely her own fault. Everyone seemed to have it in for her, and Caro wallowed in dramatic self-pity and refused to be cheered up by her friend's sympathetic comments. She went home mid-afternoon, ready to quarrel with the stones in the street, as her grandmother used to say. It was cold and drizzly. When she got back to the house it was silent and empty. Her mother had gone out somewhere. That was a relief. Caro went slowly up to her room, feeling tired out. She'd loll on her bed and not do a thing. She'd had enough. People could think and do what they liked. She opened the door of her room. The icy air floated out to meet her, instantly chilling her. Oh no, she thought. And there, by the window, the shadowy figure of the girl was standing. Not only standing, she was opening it. Hey, what are you doing? Caro said, bewildered, uncomprehending, wishing she'd stayed downstairs in the warm kitchen with the Arga humming. The girl's face was just a dark blur. So it's you again, she said. Why have you come back? It's my room, I told you, Caro said, trying not to be scared. Again she was rooted to the spot, as if her feet were nailed to the floor. Not that she really wanted to get too near the girl, that was the last thing, but she was shivering uncontrollably. I can't stand it anymore, I'm going to jump out, the girl said. She sounded driven beyond reason. Oh no, Caro cried, horrified, trying to force her legs to move. Yes, I've decided everything's hopeless. No, Caro made an enormous effort and managed to cross the room and reach the girl's side. Bravely she grasped her wrist. How cold it felt. The girl pulled away violently. She was crying. Leave me alone, please. No, I won't. With all her energy, Caro held on. You'll have to come with, then, the girl cried. They swayed and grappled desperately close to the open window, Caro somehow hanging onto the girl, pulling away from her. Caro got on one hand to the window catch to pull it shut, but the girl, sobbing, wrenched away. The window banged loudly back against the glass, cracking a pane jaggedly. I won't let you, Caro panted. The girl's terrified chalky white face glimmered near her. Caro hung on to her chill wrist and she felt she must, whatever happened. You mustn't, don't, she shouted. The girl was standing straight at her with wide dark eyes that even in a moment reminded her of someone. Who could it be? Let go. Oh, do let go of me, she begged. No, said Caro, grimly, fiercely, and then suddenly the girl gave in and collapsed in a heap on the floor, crying silently. Gasping for breath, Caro stopped to try and comfort her. and in the flicker of an eyelid the girl had gone. "Caro, what on earth's happening?" Caro swung round and saw her mother standing on the threshold. "What's happened? Why is that window open? And why did you shout?" She moved more quickly than Caro had ever seen her and slammed it safely shut. Caro sat blindly on the bed, shaking more than ever. "Oh, Mum, I just don't understand. It was horrible. The girl was in here, trying to jump out, and I was trying to stop her." Her mother stared blankly, put out a hand to her. Caro took it. Thank heaven it was warm and alive. They looked at each other, two bewildered faces with a strong likeness to each other. "You won't believe it, but this room must be haunted," Caro said slowly. "I've slept here for years and never seen her before, and thank goodness she's gone now. But she's about my age. I know it sounds crazy, but honestly it's true. I saw her yesterday, and she was miserable and said something about her sister Jo. She was wearing a navy skirt and a blue blouse." Her mother gave an appalled exclamation. "Oh no, my old school uniform," she whispered. Then, as Caro stared uncomprehendingly, "Didn't you know it was my room once when I was your age? You know I lived here with your grandparents and your Aunt Josephine. You haven't seen her for years, of course, because she's a surgeon in Canada. But she was always the brilliant one. You couldn't possibly have seen me all those years ago, could you?" "You?" Caro took a deep breath. "Was it really you, Mum? Were you so miserable, just like I am now? Oh, if only I could understand." "I'm trying to think back," said her mother slowly. "And I was certainly terribly unhappy for a while, Caro. And I'll admit I did want to throw myself out of that window. But something stopped me, and I never knew what. And after that, things got a bit better. I felt so lonely, so cut off. Come to think of it, I suppose I would have been about your age. It's a vulnerable one. Funnily enough, I started thinking about it yesterday, after you and I had been arguing. Perhaps just by thinking about it, you triggered it all off," Caro suggested. Mrs. Avery looked very pale. "When I came in just now, I heard you shout. It all came back to me in a rush, and I had the most terrible feeling." She gripped Caro's hand. "I'd never forgive myself if you felt like I did. Why didn't I remember when I'd been through it myself?" Caro looked at her mother's haunted face in astonishment. "She does care about me," flashed through her mind. Of course she did. How could she ever have doubted it? "Oh, Mum, it's all so weird," she said in a wobbly voice. "Perhaps strong feelings like unhappiness and fear linger for years in a room," her mother said slowly. "They would, wouldn't they?" More decisively, she turned to Caro. "Let's calm things down, darling. Never mind these exams. The last thing I want is you brooding about them. I'll make your father understand. Fail them all. Anything rather than all these rows. Your happiness means too much to me." The barriers between them had crashed down. Caro leaned up against her mother, and they hugged each other silently. Nothing else needed to be said. Outside it was freezing, the heavy November sky full of snow. But in the bedroom that had belonged to each of them in turn, it was steadily, comfortably growing warm and secure again.
The Girl in the Bedroom by Margaret Biggs was read by Joshua Phillips. Technical presentation was by Ashley Bond. Ashley Bond and James Starling present Moments of Terror. The Figure by Margaret Biggs. Dramatised by James Starling.
Now, where is it? Here it is. The match team list for tomorrow. Oh, I'm not chosen. I try, but I never get picked.
Tough luck, half pint.
Oh, it's you, Edward. What do you want?
Why don't you face facts, Tim? When it comes to football, you're rubbish.
Oh, just because you're captain?
Jealous boy, jealous boy.
It's not fair. He's also good at all the other subjects. He's big and strong. He's got that gang of his who seem to follow my every move. Look at me. I'm small and skinny. Oh, I wish he'd stop picking on me. I was looking, that's all. What's wrong with that?
Oh, sure. Why don't you give up and stick to marbles? Or maybe try the netball team. It'll be more your size.
You shut up, or I'll...
You'll what? Look at Didham's getting all worked up. Why don't you go and find Snow White and all the other dwarfs?
Right, that's it! Ow!
What in the hell do you think you're doing? I might have known it would be you, Edward. But I'm surprised at you, Timothy.
But sir, he...
If I catch you two fighting again, you'll be off to the head.
He started.
Fighting never solved anything, and it never will either. Anyway, that's the dinner bell. Now in my warning, both of you.
God, I'm glad he's gone.
Oh, don't play Mr. Nice Guy with us. You'll be sorry. You only started here this term, and you're already throwing your weight about and coming at me like a mad thing.
You'll be sorry. Just wait. I'm just as good as you, any day.
Whenever we want to, we'll get you, so don't forget.
I can think of at least a million ways of killing Edward. Oh, why can't he just leave me alone? I understand we have to keep moving because of Dad's job. And why is Edward so popular and good at everything? A boy like that doesn't deserve such a gift. I can just picture myself pushing the little runt off a cliff, throwing him out of an aeroplane, anything to wipe that smile off his horrible little face.
Draw somebody, anybody you like. I want a real portrait gallery for parents' evening. It can be one of your family or somebody at school, or even an animal if you like. I'll put up the best ones on the wall.
I'll draw Edward.
Oh, that's excellent. Can I show the others?
No, it's so no good.
Tim, that's stupid. What a waste. You caught a really good likeness of Edward.
I'd rather do my mum.
Well, make it good then. I rely on you. You know that, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Good lad. Carry on.
Boring. What's this book about? What's that witch doing on the front cover? She's sticking a pin in that man figure. Weird.
Hurry up, all of you. The bell will be going in a minute.
Witches and warlocks. I'll borrow this book.
What book have you got there, Tim? Witches and warlocks? Not prone to nightmares, are you?
No, I'm just interested, that's all.
It's not a story, you know. It's an account of various superstitions in medieval days.
There aren't any witches now, are there?
Some people say there are, but I've never met one. Horrible cover, isn't it?
I like it.
Bloodthirsty, aren't you?
What's that thing about on the front cover?
Pick some little thing like a little kid would do to show his embarrassment.
Here we are.
In this predicament.
The witches make a wax model of her enemy,
Piece of action.
what's it say? And sticking pins into it makes that enemy suffer. This was a popular superstition until the early 1800s and still persists in some primitive parts of the world. My God! That's the answer to all my wishes. That's what I'll do to Edward. Of course, it might not work. There's no guarantee. But after reading this book, I feel it's at least worth a try. Dad, have we got any wax?
What for?
Oh, something to do with school.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tim, I don't think so. Well, I think we got some candles from the last power cut, but I think they're used up.
It's alright, doesn't matter. It also said you can use plasticine though. Right, here we are. A bit of this, that there, just a blob of it there, and round here, much there. There, done. Now we shall see who's boss, Edward. Dad, can I borrow some of your pins?
Yes, but put them back after.
Okay, thanks. Now see how you like that, Edward. Again! 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 Sorry I'm late, sir.
Well, that's the second time this week, Timothy. Please, buck your ideas up, lad. Now, where was I? Oh, yes. You're here now, Tim. John?
Yes, sir.
Sylvia?
Yes, sir.
Paul?
Yes, sir.
Edward? Edward away, is he?
Please, sir, I called for him, sir, and his mum told me to tell you that he's got a strange pain all over his body. It worked. It worked. Serve him right. That'll teach him. But I kind of feel guilty now. Oh, don't kid yourself. He's been bad to you in the past. Oh, what have I done? Enough is enough. There's something terribly uncanny about all this. I better take those pins out just to be on the safe side. Now, where did I put the figure? Oh yes, between those old footy magazines. What? Where are they? Dad!
What's the matter?
Where are my old football mags?
You mean those old ones in your bedroom? Your mother told me about them. She said they were thick with dust and she put them in the bin. She told me last week that you were going to throw them out. But you never did you? Now, don't go bringing them back. Your room's full enough of junk as it is.
Oh, thank God. It's still there. It's a bit squashed.
What are you up to, Tim? What's that?
Nothing, Dad. Honest.
So long as you haven't brought those magazines in again. You know you haven't looked at them for months.
I know. Now, where can I hide it where it'll be safe? Ah, yes, I know. Between these old books. Ah! What? My God, how did this figure get on my chest?
I'm only starting to work. You see, you can't stop me.
It's a dream. Go away. Go away.
No, I shan't. You made me, and you can't get away from me now.
Oh, God. Did I dream that last night? No, it happened. It was in my dreams as well. Oh, what have I done?
Steve?
Yes, sir.
Tim?
Yes, sir.
Oh, you're here on time today, Tim. What a miracle. John?
Yes, sir.
Sylvia?
Yes, sir.
Paul?
Yes, sir.
Edward? Edward's away again, is he? It's certainly not like him to be away.
Please, sir. I called for him again today, sir. But he isn't any better. His mother said she was really worried about him. He kept saying he couldn't breathe. The doctor's been and he has to stay in bed. He's never been this ill before. Christ, what have I done?
What's wrong, Tim?
Oh, nothing, Mr. Mather.
Oh well, do get on then. Why not do a portrait of your father to go on with your mother?
All right. If only I hadn't seen the book. If only I hadn't seen the book. Oh, there you are, figure. Oh, what have I done? If I break you up, Edward will die. Oh, I just don't know what to do. I wish I never started this.
Get your mum's sewing scissors. Snip me to pieces. Finish me off. Go on. Get them.
But
Don't argue. Do as I say. Get the scissors. Cut me up. Then it'll be all over.
are you sure?
Course I'm...
Tim, what have you left the back door open for? Honestly, Tim, you do the stupidest things. Tim, you there? What on earth are you doing with Mum's scissors? Give them here.
Sorry, Dad.
Are you going down with flu? You look a bit peaky. I'll tell you what, I've got some of those nice lemon ice buns. And I'll make us some tea. I must say, I feel like one. I had to wait ages for the bus. You don't look right. Have you got a headache?
No, I'm all right. I'm all alone. Alone with this stupid figure stuffed in my pocket. What is the way out of this maze? Am I going mad? Oh, God, I can picture Edward cut in pieces. Oh, there's only one thing to do. I won't be long, Dad. I've got to go somewhere.
But it's dark and raining.
I won't be long.
What do you want?
Please can I speak to Edward just a minute?
Come on in.
Oh, what do you want? I just want to see how you were. Come in a minute. The old man goes mad if you make a row. If you really want to know, I feel a bit better, but I felt awful yesterday. Oh, thank God. What? Oh, nothing. You know, don't take this the wrong way, but I didn't expect you to live in a flat. I've never seen you home before. Isn't your mum here? No, she's at work. She took 2 days off, but she didn't dare take any more in case she got the sack. She's worked full time since Dad died. But that man, I thought he was your dad. No, he's a next door neighbour. He comes round to help every day. Oh, I'm sorry about your dad. That's all right. What do you really want? Is it some message from school? No, I've got to get back. You must want something. Did you hope I was never coming back? Is that why you came? Of course not. I've been thinking, you know. I've been a bit rough on you. I don't know why. It just got out of hand. It's all right. Look, I've got something to tell you. I made this figure after reading it in this witch book, and I stuck pins into it. I think it's how you got ill, because it's a figure of you. Let's take a look. You stuck pins into it? Yeah, and then I felt awful. Here, you have it. I think I have to tell you that last night and today, the figure... The figure what? Oh, never mind. I just think it's spooky, that's all. It's only plasticine. Yes, but don't pull it apart, just to be on the safe side. Not likely. I'll take care of it. It's great. I wish I could model like that. I'm useless at art. You're lucky. I've got to go. Mum will be going mad. And Dad will as well. Sorry about it all. Oh, forget about it. See you Monday. We'll have a kick around. I'll bring my footy, okay? Great. See ya.
Well, I'm glad you two are friends. Now...
What? Who said that?
Guess.
In Moments of Terror, The Figure by Margaret Biggs, adapted by James Starling. James Starling and Ashley Bond, were the players. Join us again for another moment of terror next time. Goodbye. The Figure was a Film and Drama Workshop presentation.